Yes, it is true. The Black Ace Hockey Podcast is back in action. My name is Blaine Adams. I'm right here as always with your co-host Nick Jenks Jenkins. What's going on, man?
The boys are back in town.
The boys are back in town.
You got a better voice than I thought.
Well, I mean, I'm just out here with the pipes. I'm the full package, some would say.
You can do it all, man. That's you could produce the show, you can host the show, you
I'm a
can sing all the music
personality,
from the show.
some would say just jack of literally all the trades.
I don't know. I don't know how you're still single at this
I
point.
mean,
So
it's up to the imagination.
yeah, man, not much going on. The weather continues to cool off as we head into hockey season here. So if you're hoping to get a couple more rounds out there on the links this year, you better hurry up and do so before the snow starts flying on us.
Yeah, it's getting colder here. Winds swirling around. It's tough to tell what's the ball's going to do off the tee box. 100 yards away, it could be going left up there, and my grass is flowing right off the tee. So, that's. I also salt my balls, so I make sure I get the right density all the way around the golf ball. I don't I don't play games out there, Jenks. I'm not taking divots out there. I'm not making the ball go left when it should be going right. I'm a true hitter, straight down the middle.
You should see my divots. It looks like I'm playing golf with a shovel.
Not ideal for a scratch golfer, huh? Some would say great scramble golf player. Maybe swing away, let go second.
I'll tell you what, this year's been a ride for my golf game,
Okay.
but I've been putting really well. So if you're looking for a closer on your scramble team, give me a call.
All right, all right. Well, talking about some house calls here, Jenks. Let's dive into some NHL news. The first week of the NHL where all the teams are playing, it's chaos out there. Fists are flying, spit and slobbers going all around. But the one thing I want to highlight first is Celebrini potting. Some would say is the most like bad, worst, the best and worst first goal. Some would say. Well, what do you think about this?
Best and worst. Why would you say
Well,
best and
it's your first year. You're in the NHL. You're in the show. You're in the top 1% of the 1%. So technically, it is a great feeling to score, but just to have it like bounce off you, or you shoot the puck and it goes off another guy's skate and goes in, it counts on the score sheet, Jenks. You know what they say? They don't ask how. They ask how many. I'll take
if
that
he's
as
got
my
one?
first goal.
That's hey, a goal's a goal. He's got I don't care how it went in. He's already got more goals than most people on this planet. So
Yeah.
the first one, I'm sure of many to come, and hopefully the second one is a little more pretty. And I'm sure he's probably thinking the same thing. He's like, you know what, I'll take it. A goal's a goal, but expect some more legitimate goals coming from him in
Let's
the
hope.
future.
And dude, we were talking shit on some generational talent, and not to bag on him a little bit, but um, dude, some of the plays and some of the spin around passes he's been tossing out the last couple of games, I might have to retract my statement. And then I see some of the comparisons between Connor Bedard, McDavid, and Crosby in their first season versus second season. Now Crosby had an unreal first season. Let's get that out of the way. But McDavid only had like 62 games played or something because he was hurt for a little bit there, and then he only scored I think 50 points or like 60 points. So like to see Connor Bedard kind of in that conversation, where he only had 48 points, I think we're starting to see a nice trend of like real young talent come into the league and just start dominating right off the rip instead of taking a few years to get going.
No, for sure. And I think, one of the advantages that Celebrini has is, and we talked about this a little bit on the last podcast too, but playing against real men, I'll say, in college hockey. I
Yeah.
mean, the game is The guys are older, they're bigger. It's a more physical style of game, and arguably it prepares you better than the
Yeah.
junior game to jump to the pros. So I think that is an advantage for him too. But yeah, he's got one game under his belt so far. He's got a goal and an assist, and he looked like he fits. He did not look out of place one bit in his first game. And I know he got hurt and he's going to miss a few games here, but expect he'll jump right back into it and be a difference maker for the Sharks.
Yeah. And I think this is a real crucial time for like some of the people like Mitch Cobb and like Lane Hudson and Will Smith even to just really get their name out there and get, you know, maybe rack up a few points. You're not trying, but, you know, maybe like get the speed rolling on the train for that Calder Cup, you know, Calder Trophy. And now they're not playing for that, I know, but, you know, it's nice to have in the background. Maybe sitting on a shelf when you're older, like, Grandpa, shut up talking about your NHL record bullshit. Oh yeah, well I freaking did it with Crosby, McDavid, back there, you know. So I'm sure that'll be a cool feeling for some of these guys as they get older. Couple like other firsts. You know, a lot of the Penguins. We're a Penguins podcast here. Sorry about it. If you don't like it, skip a few minutes ahead. Jenks went to the home opener. Awesome game, great seats. They didn't score a goal. Now, I said this when I was there. The last time I went was also against the Rangers, and they did lose. It was like 9-3. It was like something crazy. The New York Rangers are so well oiled. It's so hard to like really get them out of the move or the groove. Matt Rempe didn't play, but they have this like Finnish guy that's like, or Finnish, Swedish, Norwegian, Vikish, Croatian, wherever he's from. He's like 9'12" and also like 4 foot wide. I don't know how this man does it, but the Penguins, what are we doing? I mean, the power play scored, Jenks. Finally. I think we figured it out, maybe. But what are we? Are we an AHL team with Crosby or what?
The team came out flat, and you got to witness it firsthand. So, you know, I'm going to defer to you on a lot of this stuff because I just watched them on TV. But I can tell you, it didn't look good on TV either. I mean, they really just kind of looked their age. They were getting burned a lot. You know, the Rangers just looked like they had more gas.
Yeah.
I think, to be fair, I do think Shesterkin had some good saves in that game too. We probably could have scored 2 or 3 goals, but that's still not enough. I mean, the final was what, 6-0, I think.
6-0.
So yeah, if you look at that and say we had 3 chances that we got goalied on, we still lose 6-3. Big freaking deal.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I mean, I get it. It's early in the season.
No, we're hitting the panic mode now. Sell everyone. Sell everyone.
Sell everyone not named Sidney Crosby.
Right.
Nobody else is bolted to the floor.
Right.
I'm very concerned about the Penguins goaltending. That Blomqvist played well, played very well in the game that he got in. Jarry makes me nervous, man. Every time he shoots the puck, it's like end stage Matt Murray, where I just cringe every time the puck's going at him because I just don't know if he's going to stop.
Yeah, it's weird because like towards the end of Marc-Andre Fleury's tenure at the Penguins, we always said like, Fleury, just stay in the net, bud. Just literally stay between the pips and we'll be good. No, he always wants to go and score a goal. Like, I get it. But Jarry, like you said, I perfectly said end stage Matt Murray, where like he's one bad fuck up. Excuse my French, but he's on the way out the door. If like say he forgets to go down on a puck, on an ice puck, or like he is caught sleeping off a draw or something, just gets fired upon. I just don't know what it is, but I just feel it, like you said, it's coming. And this has been a question mark ever since Fleury left, really, for the Penguins. Like, do we try to play the goalie tandem game? Do we try and go out and get a goalie, such as, like, a Carey Price, but I know he's retired now. But or like a Connor Hellebuck, like bring Daddy back to the Berg. You know, bring him back to the United States. Get him out of that Canadian thing up there. Maybe bring Gibson back to the show in the Pittsburgh area. I don't know what it is, but we got to figure it out. If you're getting beat fivefold, Jenks, in the show, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. And if somebody's just casually strolling at the top of the circle and you get beat glove side high in Pittsburgh, PA, I will promise you I'll be the first one to tweet, "You suck." Because you can literally hire me and I'll shoot glove side high all practice. There would be no shots to the blocker side. You could literally not wear a glove. I don't think we have to beat this into the floor anymore, but I think the three goalie tandem that Pittsburgh has right now seems to be more rebuildish than a team that's really trying to go for it. So we'll see who steps up. Again, it's early. I'm trying to hit the panic mode. I want to win all 82 games. I am not. I mean, we got to win the rest of the game to get in the playoffs. That's how I look at it. If we don't win the rest of the games, we're not getting in playoffs. We lose one more game, Kyle Dubas is gone.
They got to win a majority of them, man. They don't look good right now. I get Dubas. Like, Dubas stepped into this team with the task of, we want to win the Stanley Cup, but we also want you to rebuild. Like, what?
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do with that information? He's like, okay,
get us some
those
draft
are
picks.
Exact opposites. Yeah. So he's kind of in a tough spot. I get it, but we're in this weird spot right now where we're going for it. So the expectation of the team should be, we want to make playoffs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, do you just hit sell and go for a good draft pick and get some more majorities in the team, those type of players?
Yeah, I think the main issue is the Penguins haven't really drafted anybody that's NHL ready in a while. Like, everybody takes a few years to develop, which is it's fun to see Rutger out there, but in the same sense, is like it almost feels too early. Like, he's not a top two liner. Like, he's not going to be playing top 6 minutes. He's a great third liner to maybe get his feet wet, but then you're risking health. Like, you're risking this guy's career because you want to just have a young guy on the team. I don't know. Like, obviously they're making more money than I'll ever make in my lifetime, and that's why they get paid that. And to make those decisions, I like to stay out of it. I'm a more I'll poke fun at you over the internet, and then when I meet you in person, I'll shake your hand. That's me. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
But a team that's been red hot, Jenks, I think, very surprising. There's two teams, actually. The Utah Hockey Club. What is going on in the Salt Lake City, Jenks? Did they put something in the water over there?
I was going to say the water is different up there. They just don't even look like the same team that was in Arizona just a couple of months ago at all. I mean, think about it this way, too. They made a lot of additions. Like, the ownership went out and said, no, we're competing now. And they made some trades and some big signings to bring in guys like Sergachev was a big one. And they brought in, I think they brought in Brandon Montour, and they brought in some other guys, too. All of them are slipping my mind at the moment. But they went out and said, we're in win now mode. And early returns on investment are good. They are, 3-0 at this point? They've won all their games.
Yeah, undefeated.
Their young kids look really good. Like, Dylan Gunther's got 5 goals. Logan Cooley's got a bunch of points. They named Keller the captain this year, and he looks pretty darn good so far. They're getting it done, man. They look like a much different team than the Arizona Coyotes did just, 6 months ago we were watching them play?
Yeah, Dust Bag League. I mean, that's what happens when, you have an owner that actually, like, believes in you. They, you're not buying soda out of the vending machine in the locker room. It's, they actually care about staying in the city. All that, like, people say that's, like, that doesn't affect you as a team. But like to have your owner, not owner, but like boss say like you're not worth me ponying up some money, like internally, like that just hits you a little different. You might not skate as hard. It's like putting your 2 weeks in and then trying to finish the project by the end of the 2 weeks when you know you're gonna leave. Like I you may be the best human in the world if you actually work those full 2 weeks. Like I'm sorry, like I think everybody on earth except maybe the president knows about that. He's like, yeah, like I'll put my 2 weeks in. That's also when my 2 weeks of vacation is gonna be used as well. So like I like theoretically like you're not really getting assigned anything. You're not really picking up any projects. You're just kind of like here's a good faith gesture. But yeah, the Utah team has been hot. Dylan Gunther goes down in history as the first home Utah goal instead of get that own goal out of the way early. But Dylan Gunther gets the first goal, and it's nice to see some of these social media clips as well. I want to touch on just the Swayman signing right before the season, 8x8. Did the whole like Wolf of Wall Street, like I ain't fucking leaving, like right before the game. And of course, like their home opener, like a big pop when he comes out. Like everybody loves that man. Like I don't think he's one of those lovable guys, just like Fleury. I think is a pretty cool moment. I don't know if we talked about that last podcast or it may have been right after the next day. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that signing and some of the social media aspects behind it as well.
I'm here for it. I think we did touch on it a little bit. I don't remember if he was officially signed or not yet at that point, but there was some tension there between Swayman and the Bruins, and it went into the media. And to get this done and to see Swayman have that type of reaction to get the fan base excited that he's sticking around,
yeah,
was huge. And I love the social media aspect of it too. I think players need to show more personality like this. So I'm here for all of it. And funny enough, there was a game where it might have been the last preseason game before Swayman got signed. Korpisalo started and he got absolutely torched, like 7 goals.
Yeah.
And I think Swayman had just signed at that point, and Korpisalo played. And there was a sign at the game that was like, "Give him $100 million. We need Swayman." Like, this is bad.
Yeah. I mean, it just a good goalie in the NHL is so hard to find sometimes. When you do find your guy, it's just like the running backs. I touched on it. Like, you have to pay the guy. Like, Igor Shesterkin doesn't want to sign any contract now, start of the season. Guy turned down $11 million, Jenks. $11 million. I don't know how you're even playing if you're not signed to a contract. Now, maybe his contract ends at the end of the year and he's just looking for guaranteed money. I'd be putting my 2 weeks in. I'd be like, hey, oops, I tweaked my knee. Like, oops, my ACL strain. I got a doctor in Russia to sign off, like yada, yada, yada. I just don't know, and some of these guys are freaks, but goalies are one of the aspects you just can't cheap out on in the NHL for sure.
Dude, he's offered record-breaking money. No goalie has ever made that amount before, and he like immediately said no. He's like, yeah nope, I'm gonna keep waiting. So give me a better offer. Like, that takes some balls, man.
Well, I think seeing like what Vasilevsky went through. Vasilevsky reset the market back when he got signed, and then pretty much immediately was overused and abused, and now he's practically garbage. So maybe he's like, hey, I'm learning my lesson through other people where, Bobrovsky, if you want to compare somebody, is Igor Shesterkin better than $10 million man? He got a 10 by 10. That's a Buffalo signing, and it didn't pay off until like the 7-year mark. So I just don't know where you put Igor in the rankings of money order, I I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. I mean, is 12 million enough?
When oh my God, if they offer him 12 million and he still says no, I think he's insane. Um, I when Shesterkin is on, man,
Yeah.
there's not many goalies better than. I don't think there's any goalie better than him when he's at the top of his game.
Yeah.
But he has had consistency problems where he will come out and make a 50 save shutout and make it look easy, and then come out the next game and
Yeah.
let in 3 of the first 10 shots. Like, you can't do that and expect to make $12 million a year. So they're going to need him to be more reliable if they're going to give him the money that he's asking for. So we'll see how that shakes out.
Yeah, and going over to the Canadian side of things, another team that's pretty much shocked the hockey world this first couple weeks here. The Calgary Flames are undefeated somehow. Jenks, the laughing stock of the NHL, the oldest, I'd say, ancient architect, vintage hockey arena there is. I think everybody that's ever went there or has played there has said how bad the locker rooms and just team facility are in general. It's pretty astounding how they got off to this hot start, considering they're practically in rebuild mode. They're like, hey, let's move to Atlanta. Atlanta looks good right now. Their goalies, I couldn't tell you who they were if I didn't look them up, Jenks. We got Dan Vladar, like Radar. Maybe that's his name, Radar. And then Dustin Wolf, the Wolf of Wall Street over here, both chipping in the win department. Give me your thoughts. Why do you think this team is so successful right now?
I don't know if this is a case of they just came out of the gate hot and people weren't expecting it and it caught them by surprise. I mean, we see Buffalo do this sometimes where they come out and everybody's like, we got the Sabres tonight. We're going drinking before the game.
Yeah, right.
And then the Sabres start out on like a 5-game heater. Buffalo fans get pumped and they're like, this is our year. And then they lose the next 20 straight. And then all of a sudden they're like last place.
Yeah.
So I look at this roster. They've scored 16 goals in 3 games. I just don't see any superstars on this team, and I do not see how that continues. I think they've got a lot of young players and they've got potential, but you can't expect some of these young guys to jump into the NHL as a rookie or a second year and be 80 to 100 point players all of a sudden, be the next Connor McDavid. So I don't know. I don't know that I believe this is going to continue much longer, if at all. I mean, the early season predictions from a lot of analysts were saying this is going to be one of the teams like potentially in the position to win the draft one. Like not even close to sniffing the playoffs. And they're one of the top teams in the NHL after 3 games. So we will see how this plays out.
Yeah, it's the start of the season, of course, we're gonna overreact to a lot of things, but we all have to keep in mind that Buffalo starts the season always like 16-2, and then they don't win a single game the rest of the year because people are like, all right, let me stretch here, and then they start going. And I believe that's how every Buffalo goalie ever gets paid to leave there and go on to like lead a few teams. So you touched on it. I want to highlight there's another clip going around of like Brady Tkachuk. That guy is comedy gold on the ice. Him and his brother I think Brady welcomed a new child into the world, and they played against each other, and the chant that was going on in Ottawa was Brady's better. Now, that is an incredible chant. I don't know who started that. Probably some drunk guy up in the corner. It was like, Brady's better. And they just started rolling with it. That is awesome. Matthew Tkachuk had a good laugh about it too. So it's fun to see, like everybody's getting involved. Like it's not so serious. It's just a game, Jenks.
Yeah, you could see him clearly in the clip. He's smiling.
Yeah.
So he can take a joke, which makes it even better. I think stuff like that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm here for all of that. Get the fans involved. The players are being good sports. They understand it's all in good fun. Like
Yeah.
they're not taking a shot at him. So clearly he's not feeling any pain because he just come off the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So he's like, I don't care. I don't care what you have to say.
And all of his
Sure, maybe Brady's better, but I've got a cup and he doesn't.
yeah, and all of his Amazon Prime money that he just made too. They probably
Oh, he's
should. He
filthy
probably has
rich.
Prime membership for life. Like he doesn't need to
Oh, I'm
subscribe to
sure.
that thing at all. Probably gets all the TV shows. Prime Music, yeah, I listen to Prime Music too.
Free next day delivery for
What's up,
life.
Amazon? Just come sponsor us, huh? um, I also wanted to highlight here your reigning Stanley Cup finalists. Edmonton Oilers are 0-3. Um, maybe a slow start, maybe a little brain fog coming out the gate.
Yeah.
I would definitely think it takes more than a few months to heal up. I mean, you look at the Tampa Bay Lightning, they go back to back to back, and now they're just crippled. They're hobbled. Everybody's hurt still. It's tough to go that distance and then come back the next season and then do it all over again. And really, I'm looking forward to seeing if they actually get back there because a lot of people are picking them to get back to the finals. I just don't know if they have that kind of luck again. Now, if somehow McDavid and Leon get some help, possibly, but the garbage man Hyman, I I just can't see it. I can't see it for the second year in a row. But um, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens and see what shakes out during the rest of the season. A few new rule changes this year. Oh, the coach's challenge for out of play. You can now challenge a puck going out of play to get that specific face-off dot, which leads to this question, and this is why I framed it that way. Has reviews for coaches, kind of like the whole baseball reviews, has it gone too far to where we're going frame by frame for everything? Like bang bang plays are now being analyzed by a pixel.
So this is something that I was at the Erie Otters game on Saturday, and there were literally three of the Otters goals were reviewed. One of them was reviewed for goalie interference. One was reviewed for potential offsides, and the other goal was just reviewed to see if it actually crossed the line. So I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, okay, I get if we're reviewing to see if it crossed the line. That's a clear cut. Is it a goal or not? The one that kills me the most is the offsides reviewing.
Yeah.
I mean, when they slow that down, the game is so fast, right? And you expect the refs are making the best call they can in that moment as they're watching the play develop. But as you go pixel by pixel, I mean, that's overdoing it. You
Yeah.
should be able to say like, okay, the player was that close to the line. It's not like he was in behind the defense.
Yeah.
Um, like he's making an attempt to stay on sides, fairly even with the puck in play. Like there, how can you really justify because he was 2 frames offside that gave him an advantage on that play? That's absurd. Unless it's a blatant offside call that you can even clearly see in real time, I think we're overdoing the over analyzing it by going frame by frame in an offside call in a
Yeah.
fast sport.
I mean, I agree. I even think like the NHL tells some of these linesmen. Now this is just hypothetical. I don't actually know if they actually do this. To like any close, any just on size because they can always review it, right? Like
Yeah.
coaches, like if they care that much about it, if it's like they could tell it's offsides, they can always review it. Um, and of course, the NHL always reviews goals now. Like
Yep.
there doesn't need to be a challenge. Like up in Toronto, somebody's on the horn, like, yep, that's a good goal. So it's one of those things where like I don't know if it's necessarily it needs to be coaches, a coach that challenges like some of that stuff. Like the NFL tried the whole. I mean, we saw how it went. The pass interference, right? That's judgment. Like, was he pushed? Was he not pushed? And that's the whole human aspect of the game. That's what makes it exciting. You know, some of these calls you can boil down to it. Yeah, a ref may miss things. I get it. We get it. But the last thing we want is AI to come in and be like, call everything. Like, oh, a little tap on the hands, that's a slash. That's a hook. No, well, that's a stick check. Well, oh, you haven't played the game before, so like it didn't really disrupt anything. So like let's keep it moving, guys. Like behind the play, like, you know, we're jabbing at each other. Oh, that's a cross check. No, they're just, you know, they're sharing chicken recipes. You know, they're just trying to get what's for dinner, what's the vibe going, you know, how's life, how's the weather. So it's just like some of these things I think they're trying to make the game faster and like time wise. Like I don't want to sit there for 4 hours, Jenks. I don't. So um, I don't know. Maybe they need to put a clock on some of these things. Like hey, like if you don't challenge within like 10 seconds, like game over. Like somebody needs to be on the box, like watching the game like minus 5 seconds and be like, hey, right there.
So I mean, that's another thing. One, you can't like wait 2 minutes before you actually throw the challenge flag. And the second piece of it too is like how how long do you really need to review this before you say it's so close that we don't want to overturn the call?
Yeah,
Like these sometimes the refs in Toronto are looking at this play for like 5-10 minutes. It's like, guys,
yeah,
if it's really that close, unless this is like the Stanley Cup final, just go with the call that was made.
yeah,
Clearly you can't tell the difference. Just look at it for 30 seconds. If it's not clearly overturnable, then just leave it and move on.
yeah.
Because you're going to make hockey games be 4 hours long all of a sudden because you're reviewing every single play. Puck over glass, offsides, goaltender interference. All of this crap is going to get
Hand
reviewed.
pass, yeah.
All of it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like the old adage says, like make the ref make a call. Like
Right.
you want to play on the line, not go over it, but you know you want to force the ref to, you know, use his judgment. Like, what's this ref going to call today? Who knows? He sets a standard. We move on from it. We understand it. We go. So I think that's where we need to get to and stop really like trying to review everything and, you know, just you know, move on from there and be classy human beings. But another rule change I wanted to point out is the sitting on the bench thing. Now, this in amateur hockey is a big issue with kids leaning over the bench to where, like, you know, players are coming down the side and they're, you know, if they get hit or they get stick lift, those sticks are going straight into people's faces, straight into like hands, necks, like all kinds of that. So I'm glad to see this rule in the NHL because a lot of people do that in the show, in the big leagues. And it's kind of a safety hazard almost. So, um, nothing else really changed as far as like rules. So this year, just make sure like uh, people out there, you're not throwing your what is it, the foam bricks at the TV, or don't grab a real brick and chuck it through your TV, not knowing what's being called out there. Um, but outside of that, Jenks, any college hockey news to share with the group today?
Yeah, pretty quiet week, but we'll give a quick update. You know, there was early in the season you get a lot of non-conference games. So sometimes you get really weird matchups, like one of the top teams in the country playing like, you know, Mercyhurst or something like that.
Right,
It's
right,
like a 6-0 game before the game even starts.
yeah,
So not too many of these matchups this weekend were noteworthy. One good one though, where they actually split the weekend, was Boston College and Michigan State. Now, Michigan State was my early pick
okay,
to get to the Frozen Four this year. I think they're probably gaining a little bit of traction on that. They lost on Saturday 3-0 to BC, but I mean BC is one of the top schools in the country, and then they come back and win. I just lost it, so bear with me. They come back and win 4-3 on Saturday. So they regroup and get it done. This team's deep. They're going to be good. They're going to hang with a lot of good teams all year, and I think them splitting with BC is a good sign that they belong in the conversation to be in that Frozen Four at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So that was a fun one over the weekend. Currently, as we sit here today, Denver is still the number 1 ranked team in the country, still undefeated. Boston College is 2, Boston University is 3, Michigan State 4, and Minnesota is 5. So that gives you a good idea. I mean, Michigan State's already up there. I think they started the preseason somewhere like in the 7 or 8 spot. So they're moving up. After 2 weekends of play, we have the leader in the country for points is now Noah Beck on Arizona State. So last weekend we had another guy, so it must be his line mate or something.
Yeah.
But
Dishing the puck around.
They're dishing the puck around, helping each other out.
Getting everybody involved. Yep. Love to see
it's
it.
a team
game.
sport.
Team game.
Team sport. So, Noah Beck of Arizona State has 8 points in the first 4 games of the year. He's a defenseman, so he's got a goal and 7 assists, but leading the country in points. Too early in the year, I was thinking about this, too early in the year to have a favorite for the Hobey Baker. But let's get through the first month here, and then we'll have a conversation about who are the favorites to win this Hobey Baker this year. There's always somebody who you could argue gets robbed of it. We go back through the history on this, and unfortunately there's been a lot of Johnny Gaudreau in a negative light, but he was one of the clear-cut Hobey Baker winners back in his day in college, and it's hard to argue there's been anybody who's been as dominant since him. So maybe this year we'll have somebody that stands out above the pack, and we'll just wait and see how the first month shakes out and see what the betting odds look like.
Yeah.
For some of the Hobey Baker favorites.
It also seems like it's kind of the default to either somebody who's the top point scorer or who gets drafted first overall, or like the projected first overall draft pick. That way, like the NCAA can kind of like tag on to the whole hype. But hopefully they look into it and pull some winners out that are rightful for the league. Kind of wanted to, before we get into the writing on the wall pick, a few highlights that I wanted to go after this week. And Quinn Hughes, we talked about it before, reigning Norris winner, possible Norris winner this year. One of the best goal saves of the year so far. Just great hustle, and then straight up to JT Miller, JT Daddy, Miller time, some would say. Goes down and pots one to send the boys to OT versus Calgary. Now, they ended up losing the game, but, I mean, see that kind of effort at the beginning of the season is insane from your reigning Norris winner.
I was going to say, if there's any doubt in people's minds that Quinn Hughes doesn't care, or he isn't, we'll say, a traditional defenseman, he's just a points defenseman, that should squash those doubts right then and there. Putting his body on the line to make the save. They want to start the season off on the right foot. I think Vancouver is struggling without Demko to start the year here. So, everybody's got to jump in and chip in where they can. And that's just one play that could make or break a game. So Quinn Hughes leading by example, being a top caliber defenseman, possible Norris Trophy winner back to back.
Now, I this is going to be the Haterade hate comment of the week presented by me, Blaine Adams, and I'm right here. And you can come at me in the comments. Jenks, Austin Poppy Matthews gets the C and says, I'm out. Danny Phantom, I'm just out of here. What's going on with your MVP candidate, Jenks?
Yeah, that's oh boy. after the first couple of games here, that's not really looking like a good pick.
Oh man, it's Toronto's year though. Toronto's year. They beat the Pens, so I mean, we'll see.
It's always Toronto's year, isn't it?
Yep.
Hey, I don't know, man. If you look historically at the Leafs, and I'll say even specifically Austin Matthews, he always starts fine. So maybe we're seeing a little bit of a different approach this year. Maybe this is their year because he's starting cold and then he's going to heat up at the right time of year.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can make an argument either way. I know how Toronto fans are going to see it, but beyond him, Marner looks not good. Nylander, I think he started the year with no points through the first two games, and I think he scored twice in the last two, something like that.
Okay.
But you've got three studs on your team.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who they are. You cannot afford, if one of them is struggling, okay, go through a slump. It happens. If all three of them are slumping at the same time, this team is doomed. So they better get it figured out. These guys are getting paid a lot of money. Clearly, Marner wants a raise, so he is under a microscope this year. So he better step up and figure it out. And if Poppy wants to start popping some in the back of the net anytime soon, so that Daddy can make his money back on his Hart Trophy bet, that would be fantastic.
Oh man, we're just throwing metaphors all over the place right now. It might be just time to move on, but you're right, man. These guys are too high powered. And it just seems like everybody talks about, keep the core together. It's Malkin, Gino, Sid. It's Marner, Matthews, Nylander. Like, got to keep the core together, right? So I just don't know. Like when we talk about this every time. You pay people these 12, 11, $10 million contracts, but at the end of the day, they don't have enough to pay their goalie or enough to pay like anybody to help them dig the puck out of the corner. What are we doing? Like at some point you gotta say like, hey, I want to win a cup. Take $3 million out of my contract and give it to somebody. Like I have enough fucking money. So, I mean, we'll see how it shakes up, but yeah, it's just tough to watch, especially like you're already behind the eight ball on the Rocket Richard. Ovi, I don't think he's really moving on any part of that Wayne Gretzky record. So it's really a sad time for the goal scoring department right now. It's really bad, but great for goalie market, obviously. The best segment of the pod is back. Writing on the wall. Jenks nailed the Toronto over Penguins pick, sadly. I forget what I picked. I didn't look back in the show notes and see if what's my record. I'll update everybody next time. But Jenks is 1-0 to start the pod. Huge first pick. Tough to pick against the boys, but had to be done. Jenks, we are going October the 19th. That is a Saturday. What is your writing on the wall pick?
So we can debate on if the Pens are becoming a guaranteed pick or not at this point. But it doesn't matter because they don't play Saturday, so you don't even have the opportunity to pick against them. So there's a lot of games on the Saturday slate. It seems like most of the league is playing. Hopefully we pick different games here.
Okay.
I'm looking at one team in particular who's off to a little bit of a cold start. I think there were some high expectations for it. They went out and made some big time acquisitions this year.
Okay.
Stealing away the Tampa Bay captain.
Oh man.
And we're 0-2 to start the year here, Nashville. I'm looking at you guys. But you get a favorable home matchup with Detroit on Saturday. I don't know if this is the time you turn it around. They're trying to figure out their goaltending in Detroit. They're still a young team. Can the veteran presence in Nashville overtake them? And they need some saves from Saros in this one too. Detroit's youngsters, Lucas Raymond, and who else am I thinking of? DeBrakett's been hot there so far this year. So I'm going to pick Nashville to turn this thing around and get back in the win
Wow.
column on Saturday at home against the Detroit Red Wings. So book Nashville responsibly.
Of course, of course. I am also going to pick a cold team that has high expectations as well, which got me a little nervous when you said those two corporate sayings. But it's a Canadian team. We talked about it. They don't like getting help for two men out there. It's a two-man army. The Edmonton Oilers are playing the Dallas Stars, and it's kind of weird. We're going winless versus undefeated. So it could be, by then, who knows if they get one under their belt or not. But Saturday, October 19th, I'm picking Edmonton, and the reason why I'm doing that is the Stars, Jake Ottinger. I don't think they're going to play him. I think, hey, Ottinger, you did enough for us in the first 3 games. Take a seat, take a breath. We'll handle McDraggy Nuts and Leon Draisaitl. So we got you for this game. Even if we lose, it doesn't matter. So I think Edmonton's going to come out here and score like 5. I think they're going to score 6, maybe even 7. Get Connor McDavid rolling on that MVP train again and get the points record. So book that one responsibly. That's a 4:00 game. I believe it's in Dallas as well. So look for that on American soil, not Canadian soil. Canadian soil has got that like kind of lime in it. You don't want that clay. It's like that iceberg area. I don't know. You gotta watch out for that shit.
Oh man.
All right, Jenks. Any IRL hockey updates for the boys this week?
Nothing really to report. Your boys at McDowell are struggling a little bit. We got screwed by the PAHL, man. We got last year's champions and the runner-ups in back-to-back games to start.
Brutal.
So that's a tough way to start the season.
Yep.
We looked better in our 3rd game. I think we've got some things to work on. So we're on the right path here. We're gonna turn it around. Don't you worry about that.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the Otters are young this year, but they're exciting. They're young and fast. Because they're young, they're making some mistakes. But they're accounting for those mistakes and they're scoring twice as many as everybody else. So
nice.
They got down 3-0 to Windsor on Saturday and then won the game 6-3.
That's good to hear. I mean, maybe they're gonna win when they retire McDavid's jersey next year.
Oh yeah, big time news! McDavid's jersey retirement. I'm gonna be in the house. Hopefully, we can get Blaine Adams up here as well.
I'm always here.
We'll do a little live segment. Maybe we'll get a McDavid interview. At the EIA.
Yeah, press conference. Yeah, big media guys, media pass.
Hey, Davo, boys from Black Aces Hockey here.
Yeah. Yes, we're right here, as always. Hey, Davo, yeah, we heard you fucking piping up to the boys in the locker room. I just want to, it's a kid-friendly show here. Keep it PG for once. Christ. Holy shit, bud. Anyways, that's going to do it for us. Any final thoughts, Jenks?
Nope. Looking forward to some more exciting hockey action this week, and stay tuned to the socials.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Black Aces Hockey on Instagram, on YouTube, and on Twitter. And as always, I'm your co-host, Blaine Adams. I'm right here with your co-host, Nick Jenks Jenkins, and we're out of here later.